Welcome to Live from the Vue, which is produced by the Community Arts of Bellevue for your on-streaming pleasure for all things arts and other things that we find very curiously enjoyable. Tonight we have the second of a two-part series. I hope you saw the one last week where Nan Gurley interviewed her brother Chip Arnold about his work that got him to the stage and beyond. And then he became a novelist. And it was just so much fun to watch how that creative process worked for him. Well, we're flipping that tonight. For the second part, Chip is going to interview Nan Gurley about her work to the stage and beyond into visual arts, into painting. It's just beautiful stuff. We had a lot of fun last week. If you missed it, we do have it archived. Just go to our Facebook page, Community Arts of Bellevue, and you can pick it up and watch it at any time. And Nan's will be available as well. I think you know them both. They've been Nashville treasures for years on the stage. I've seen so many amazing artists come through, actors and actresses come through TPAC. And I got to tell you, Nan and Chip are at the top of that list. If I were an actor, I'd want to be Nan Gurley. I'm not. So I'm going to promote her and get her some time on stage. So please, we're going to take this journey with Chip interviewing Nan. Please use the comments and the question sections in our chat room to make any comments you want to or ask any questions and enjoy the show. I'm going to toss this to Chip Arnold.
Thank you, Kathleen. What a privilege to be back with you and the Community Arts of Bellevue program and just continue this conversation that we started last week. I want to say that I'm the luckiest guy in the world tonight because I get to have an hour conversation with my dear sister, Nan Gurley. And here is something that I remember distinctly as an audience member, watching my sister Nan perform at 8 years old as Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker. And I knew then that I was in the presence of some really emerging talent. And over the decades, I've been able to watch Nan hone her craft, develop her art, her skill as an actor, and then most importantly, share with the wider world the thousands and thousands of people who have gotten to see her perform. And if you ever have been in the audience when Nan Gurley is on stage, your world has been rocked. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, she sings, she dances, she acts, she plays a musical instrument, and she paints. My dear sister, the quintuple threat of the creative art community, Nan Gurley.
Oh, Big Bubby, thank you for that.
Welcome, Nanty.
Thank you, my brother.
It is so wonderful to see you again. This is your time in the wonderful seat of
in the hot seat.
Yes, well, the hot seat of being able to share with all of our viewers your wonderful life in the theater, and then eventually transitioning into the painting. But we'll get to that. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So, since I started out talking about the first time I saw you on stage, I would love for you to, expound a little bit on how you came to the role of Helen Keller and what the process was that you learned as you worked with, I think, Jerry Henderson, the director, and all that.
Yeah. Well, Jerry Henderson was the director of the drama department at Lipscomb. Dad was in the music department teaching at the time. And Jerry Henderson wanted to do The Miracle Worker as part of his collegiate dramatic season. And he asked Mom and Dad if I could audition for him. And so I vividly remember auditioning for him. And then he cast me as Helen Keller. And I was 8. And like you, Chip, when you experienced being the little boy, the son of Medea, when you experienced that sensation of joy in storytelling, this is where it happened for me. I remember, feeling the audience breathing. I could sense them listening. Well, of course, they listened to me because I didn't say a word, but I could sense them watching me tell the story, I remember practicing learning how to do my eyes in a somewhat vacant stare. So my eyes were not ever focused on any one thing. And I remember feeling the magic of storytelling and loving it. And you remember Lassie, our dog Lassie was
Oh,
in?
yeah. Oh,
Remember?
yeah.
Because there's a scene at the
I
end
forgot. Yes.
with her dog. And one night, and Lassie behaved. Lassie was completely, of course, was a collie.
Right.
And Lassie was completely untrained in I mean, she'd sit and shake,
Yeah.
but she was in no way a movie or TV or stage dog. They told the dad, yeah, we've got a dog. We'll find And one night in the performance, at that huge scene where I'm spelling, Annie Sullivan, water, it has a name. And it's Helen's big moment of enlightenment. Lassie starts drinking out of the glass. So,
well, you should have remembered W.C. Fields' line, never go on stage with animals or children. But,
right. Yeah, but it was an amazing experience for me.
Yeah,
I thought those college kids, hung the moon, and
yeah,
it was the beginning of feeling that magic of storytelling.
Right. And, you and I both were so lucky in one respect that we had parents who were, who understood what it was to live the life of a creative person, and specifically in theater.
Yeah.
And so, share with us your impressions or your influences, because Mom and Dad was first and foremost for both of us.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like for you personally?
Well, Mom and Dad never discouraged us.
Never.
They never discouraged us. Dad was my first voice teacher. Dad accompanied me and helped me learn to sing. And so, I mean, we watched them performing. We performed with Mom and Dad at the barn. And the only thing that Mom ever said to me in private about a life in the theater, this quintessential mom, she said, I don't know, I must have been in a show and I must have been starting to experience some success. And she said, she was folding laundry in the kitchen at the dryer. And she said, well, Nan, you can't take the spotlight home to bed with you. Okay, Mom. What does that mean? So in her own inimitable way, she was just saying, think about husband, family, children, and all that, which, that's the only thing that was like a cautionary word.
Right.
Mom and Dad, they worked at the barn to help pay our way through school. I mean, they loved the arts. Dad was a drama teacher and a music teacher. I mean,
right. I remember us holding scripts for them.
Yes.
When they would be in plays at either at the barn or at Circle Theater or in Nashville.
That's when Theater Nashville existed. And what was the name of the theater the little black box space that was underneath the Bluebird Cafe?
Oh, that was the Circle Players.
Circle Players. They were in tons of stuff there.
Tons of stuff there.
So we grew up watching them. So how could they say, we should, do this?
Yeah. Yeah. So. And trust me, Mom and Dad would bring the spotlight home with them. It was kind of the pot calling the kettle black there.
Yeah. Basically saying you can't snuggle up to us.
That's right. Oh, yes. But if it's always on, you're warm. So there's that advantage. So, our parents, like you said, were huge influences in our life. And then, you went off to college. We had a year together at Pepperdine, but then you went to Abilene Christian University from there. And so tell me a little bit about, some seminal moment there in Abilene.
Well, I was fortunate enough to get to do 3 musicals. I transferred to Hillsborough High School for my sophomore, junior, and senior years in high school. And they had a big music department, and the choral directors loved music theater. And so I got to do 3 musicals in high school, as a 16, 17 and 18-year-old. That was huge experience. And then in college, my favorite memory is Wayne and me at Abilene Christian getting to do Man of La Mancha together. Man of La Mancha is, it's a huge musical for you and me. You got to do it with Dad. Wayne and I got to do it. Obviously, you can see I did my own makeup. That
Yeah.
I made my hairline. But anyway, that's Wayne as the man of La Mancha and me.
Man of La Mancha.
So, we did in fact break up though during that rehearsal and production time, but obviously got back together forever. But anyway, that was a huge, wonderful experience for us. And we got to perform it on the Abilene Civic Center with a huge orchestra. So it was, it was
it was huge because Nancy, I flew down from Nashville to watch it and to see you in it. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I remember when your entrance, we always know it's important to make a great entrance and a great exit.
Right.
Your entrance, you threw open this trap door at the floor, man. You threw open this trap door. Somehow it was timed with the music, where it went boom. You came up with your Sophia Loren windblown look hair and makeup, and it was just woo! I about came out of my seat, I'm telling you.
I remember the joy of that entrance. And I remember the director saying, Nan, I want people to think you are coming up from the bowels of hell.
That's right.
Because he had a red light down there shining around me, though I was coming up through the flame.
Yeah, it was great.
Chip, you remember the summer before that fall, when I went back to school to do La Mancha, that summer, you and I were in Showboat.
Yes.
And you cued me on my lines in between shows. And I remember I did a scene for you, and I spit on the ground like I was sitting on a muleteer, and you went, Nan. That was horrible. You were overacting so badly.
Stop it. Stop it right now.
That's right. That's right. So you've been helping me from a very early age.
Oh, we've been helping each other. So Opryland, you did. You talked about doing a ton of shows at Opryland. We just did the Showboat together. You did. I don't know.
This is
one of them.
Me as Mama co-headed for me and my gal. I got to do 4 different shows at Opryland and help pay my way through college that way. Very, very grateful for this. You just learn your chops. You learn your chops.
You do
3, 4, 5 shows a day. And a lot of them outdoors in the heat. Keep smiling while you're sweating through layers of tights. It was a great training ground, a great place to learn discipline in your craft. I'll forever be grateful for it.
Yeah, it is. It was a great way. And so after the college experience and the Opryland experience, then you moved into, domestic life.
I brought the spotlight home, and Wayne and I
brought the spotlight home, and who should step inside but Wayne Gurley?
Wayne and I got married, and which was the single smartest decision I made. And then though I remember when Channel 8 WDCNT was producing educational television series for the school systems.
Yeah.
So they were creating shows that were 15 minutes long to be used during a school day by a teacher. Like if a teacher needed a supplement program for science, or whatever, Channel 8 provided them. So I had a wonderful experience of producing 3 different television series for public television right here at Channel 8. Yeah. And my favorite was the one I got to do called Front Row Center, which was an overview look at the performing arts for like 3rd through 5th grade level. And when some great talent would come in through and perform at TPAC, I would reach out, and like Savion Glover came to do, bring in the boys, bring in the funk. And I called his agent. And sure enough, Savion came to Channel 8 and did a show for me. So I got to be a producer and a writer. So that was wonderful. And
that's fabulous.
This whole time of the 80s and the 90s was hugely creative for both of us. I mean, it was the early days of the rep. And I got to do like Blanche Dubois in Streetcar, and The Mother Superior in Sound of Music, and Ideal Husband and Phantom, some juicy roles. And Actors Equity was established. Rep established that. It was a big deal for me to get my equity card. And I'll forever be grateful for that. And I got to start writing contemporary Christian music. That's in the 80s and 90s is when that was blossoming. And Jim Weber and Billy Sprague and I got to write a youth musical based on Michael W. Smith's Friends Forever.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back when churches had youth choirs that did musicals. And we did a musical, wrote a musical based on The Race Is On, which was a hit for him. And also Friends Forever. And Marty McCall and I wrote one called The Light Brigade. And I got to perform with the Nashville Symphony under the baton of Ron Huff. And okay, thank you, honey. Wayne just wrote me a note. Watch your volume. I'm talking too loud. I got I got to sing the Mahler Symphony No. 4 with Kenneth Schermerhorn. Oh, look, Ruth Hemmentry is back. She saw Phantom. So at Ron Huff pop concerts. I got to do operas with Dan Kilman's Tennessee Opera Theater. So I am so grateful that I had this broad spectrum of opportunities in my hometown.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
It's a big deal. And the variety that I was able to experience just was a huge deal.
It is. It is and was. And you know, but that all those experiences, I think, were a preparation for one of your biggest risks and your greatest theatrical triumphs, which was The Diary of Opal Whiteley.
Oh yeah.
And from a quick point was, I remember watching you in Opal at some point early on in the process and got to see you transform physically, emotionally, vocally, all those ways that one does from early age to I think she was 80, 85.
Mm-hmm.
That transformation in the 90-minute piece that was just, your jaw dropped as you watched this slow unfolding of your character, and that was just gorgeous to watch. So explain more about that process.
I took a creative writing class through the Watkins Institute years ago, and the teacher brought in an excerpt from a diary and read it to us. And the syntax, she said, this was a diary written by a 6 and 7-year-old girl. And the sentence structure was incredibly unique, like nothing I'd ever heard before. So I just thought, wow, and filed it away in my brain. Well, I don't know, a year later or so, I'm browsing at a bookstore, just looking for something fun to read. And I find a reprinted copy of her diary. And I grabbed it and devoured it. And within this book, it also contained a short biography of her life. And here's basically what happened. Well, first of all, I played her in 3 different time periods in her life. 3 very watershed moments in her life. I play her as a 6 and 7-year-old when she wrote the diary. And that's the picture right there. Where she wrote her diary. She grew up in the logging camps of Oregon in the Willamette Valley. Her father was a logger. They lived in 19 different logging camps while she was growing up. She kept a diary. She was genius. It was genius the way she wrote about her experiences. What people did not know, this was 1906, 1907. They knew she was odd, but what they didn't know was she was also schizophrenic. And the schizophrenia as a child manifested itself into a heightened sense of sight and sound. So she would write about all her experiences in the logging camps. Well, I also play her, the picture, go back, Matt, to that one you just were on. Thank you, Matt. That is her. Okay, her sister found the diary and tore it to shreds. She wrote the diary on pieces of butcher paper and just scraps of paper she could find. Well, when Opal was young, in a fit of anger, her big sister tore it up. Well, Opal kept the pieces. She also wrote science books. She was a botanist. She traveled to Boston to try to get it published. And this was, let's see, when would this have been? About 1920. She traveled to Boston to try to get her science books published. She ended up in the office of Ellery Sedgwick, who was the editor of the Atlantic Monthly. And he listened to her talk about her science books. And he said, "You have such recall of your childhood. Did you by chance keep a diary?" And she burst into tears and said, "Yes, I did. My sister destroyed it, tore it up." And he said, "But you kept the pieces, didn't you?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "I want you to send for those. I'm going to put you up in my mother-in-law's attic. My mother-in-law's upstairs. I'm going to pay you to piece your diary back together, and we're going to publish it." Well, he did.
Mm.
And as she would piece together a chapter, and this picture here is me piecing the, this
Yep.
is her as a 23-year-old piecing the pieces together in Ellery Sedgwick's office. As she would piece together a scene, then I would go transition into her as a 7-year-old and relive that moment to tell that story. Okay, so it's published. It's a national sensation. But then people begin to question, could a 7-year-old write something this genius? And they decided no and called her a fraud. It was out of print. They returned their copies. It was out of print in 10 months. Opal goes on, her illness worsens. She ends up in a mental hospital in Knapsbury, England in 1948, where she stayed and lived until 1992. She died at 87 or so. So I tell the story. There she is in the mental hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. The now of the play is Opal as an old woman in the mental hospital. And I break the fourth wall, acknowledge the audience and go, "I know why you're here." She knows her diary has been republished. People have come to see her to go, "Are you a fraud? Are you a liar? Is the diary real?" So she says, "Okay, I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell it one more time. You can decide for yourself. Am I a liar? What do you think?" So, Robert Kiefer and I had just finished working together on Steel Magnolias with Tennessee Rep. Robert was the properties master. And Robert and I have kind of a brother-sister kind of relationship. And he said to me one time, he said, "Nan, if you ever want to collaborate on any kind of project, think about me." So I thought about him when I discovered this diary and thought, I'm turning this into a play. I have to tell this story. So I presented it to Robert and he said, "I'm in." And Robert and I worked on this project. It took us, I was talking to him today because I wanted to remind myself. It took us a year to write it, 6 months to rehearse it, and 4 months for me to memorize it. So I would write a scene and Robert and I would read it together, work on it, and we'd go, "No, this doesn't work, and this doesn't work." And I'd go back to the drawing board and we'd collaborate and collaborate. We finally got the script to a place where we were ready to freeze it and saying, "This is it. We're not making more changes." And then I spent 4 months with a script in my hand, walking around Radnor Lake trying to memorize this because it was 2 hours of just me.
Yeah.
And I remembered I would walk around that lake and going, "What am I doing? What if nobody ever sees this? What if nobody cares?" And
Yeah.
you know, and then I remembered that Tony Campolo quote you and I love so much.
Yeah.
Tony Campolo's a speaker. He interviewed 50 people over the age of 90. And he asked them, if you had your life to live over again, what would you do differently? Every one of these people said, "I would take more risk." So when I heard that quote, it cinched it for me. I thought, okay, I got to try. So that when I'm 87, I won't be sitting there going, "I wonder what it would have been like if I'd tried to do that." At least at 87, I'll sit there going, I did it.
Yep.
So we did it. And we spent the next 7 years we called it Opal Bus and Truck. I told Robert, I said, "When I asked you to partner with me on this, I did not know you had a pickup truck." I am so thankful you did. But that's not why I asked you to work with me. Robert and I learned our craft on that. He says he learned how to direct with that project. I learned a lot about writing, about producing, because you know how lonely it is. We performed it in colleges and in small arts venues in 7 states, 7 different states surrounding us. And you know, you cold call and say, you know, "I have this project." Basically you're saying,
Right.
"Baby, isn't my baby pretty?"
Right.
And not everyone thinks your baby's pretty. So, you know, we did it, and it was such hard work. And I remember standing in the wings when it was showtime. And I would stand there going, why did I think this was a good idea? Oh, 2 hours of just me?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to get so bored.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to hate this. Why did I do, all these thoughts? And then I would hear Robert start the overture. Tim Hubler scored some original music for this and for scene changes in between as I transitioned from old opal to 20 opal to child opal. I would hear Tim Hubler's music and my spirits would lift. And I thought this, I only have to do one scene at a time.
Yep.
And that anchored me because I could be in the moment, one scene at a time, didn't have to worry about an hour and a half from now.
No.
But I'm telling you, Robert and I grew up on that project.
Yeah.
And it transformed us. I'm glad I took the risk.
Absolutely. No regrets.
None.
No regrets.
None.
No looking back and no looking back and wondering, I wonder what would have happened if I had done this.
Exactly.
You've done it. You've done it. So that because
let me tell this too.
Yeah.
Wayne republished the diary was public domain.
Yeah.
We published our own version of the diary with a foreword written by me telling the story of Robert's and my journey. So I just want to give a shout out to my husband for his
absolutely
brilliance.
Absolutely. No kidding. And his marketing skills. Because that was in a way kind of a midway point in the development of you as an artist.
Yeah.
And that it started a trajectory of other work, other creative work as a writer, as a performer, as a producer, all of those hats that we all have to wear from time to time in order to cobble together a career. You also did a thing with, one of your dearest friends, Bonnie King.
Oh yes, Bonnie.
Women who dare to believe.
Right. Bonnie and I have a great love of Bible study, and we have spent hours studying it together and studying the women of the Bible. And we decided we have to write a musical. And so we did. We portray 21 different women from Scripture. And our only set piece is a 20-foot long, 3-foot wide piece of red silk. And this silk represents many different things. It represents the River Nile that Moses was drawn out of. It represents Rahab's scarlet cord in the window. Right. And of course, it represents the blood of Jesus and the ancestry, the women in Jesus' genealogy.
Right.
So, and go to our website, womenwhodaretobelieve.com. We wrote a Bible study to go with this. And that's been another glorious journey with Bonnie.
And another writing project you did with, our good friends, Billy Sprague and Jim Weber, and your husband, again, producing it, was the Buster Drumright.
Yes. Okay. This is something that is in progress right now. Last days of Buster Drumright.
Last days, right.
This was a play written by Jesse Hill Ford, and we have turned it into a musical. Wayne and I have done the book, and Jim Weber and Billy Sprague and I the music. And I'll give you quickly a synopsis of this story, which we are just so excited about it. It takes place in the 1930s, Depression era, rural Tennessee, and a drifter named O.C. Hedgepath returns to his hometown in Trammell, Tennessee, because he learned of the vicious murders of his sister and her infant son. And the murderer is Buster Drumright. He has been caught, and he is due to be hung in 3 days for his crime. So O.C. Hedgepath and his two brothers hatch a plan where O.C. is going to pretend to be a preacher so he can get inside the jail to visit Buster. The sheriff won't let anybody in there. He's a horrible, heinous serial killer and, famous in Tennessee for his murders. So only a preacher could get inside to give him last rites. So over the next 3 days before Buster is hung, O.C. has to figure out how to get in, win Buster over, and convince him to be baptized. because what OC wants to do is bring a bathtub into the jail and baptize Buster Drumright and kill him by holding him under the water too long. You see, it's this mountain mentality of, if you have offended the family name, you've murdered one of our own, and for us to defend the family honor, it's our job to kill the murderer.
Mhm.
It's not good enough for them for Buster to be hung legally in 3 days. OC has to get his hands on him and do it. So this story takes place over 3 days' time, and it's the story of the journey of OC, the town, and everybody's process. Everybody wants to get their hands on Buster. OC figures out a way to do it. And I won't spoil the ending, but go to our website.
Don't, because I was privileged to do one of your big professional readings, and I forget which role I played, but it was just so much fun to be able to be a part of that, great reading.
You play several roles, and you can go to our website and hear all the songs that Jim Weber.
Yes, absolutely do that.
But,
I have to. All right, we need to take a little pause here to talk about my nieces. I know they're your daughters, but they're my nieces.
Yes, they are.
So get back, Jack.
Okay.
Tell me this. There's a specialness about my nieces that I want the world to know about.
Well, in 1996, Wayne and I decided to go to China to become parents, and it the most glorious thing in our lives ever. And that's Aaron and Lena. And we brought Aaron home when she was 13 months, and we brought Lena home when she was 11 months.
Yeah.
And
Kay went with you to get Lena.
Kay did. That's right. Yeah. Wayne and I brought Aaron home first. She's the oldest, the one there in the red. And then Wayne stayed home with Aaron while Kay, my beloved sister-in-law, your wife, went with me to bring Lena home. And now they're all grown up.
Yeah.
And Aaron, Matt, you can switch the slides now to show them all grown up and long-legged girls. Aaron is in Chicago. She's 25. She is a death investigator for the Medical Examiner of Chicago, and Lena is a junior communications major at Trevecca. And so there's the triumph of Wayne's in my life. Absolutely. Right here is our girls.
Absolutely.
Proud of.
Well, that's a nice little cleansing of the palate. And let's move now to a montage of the theater experiences that you've had over the years with Nashville Rep, Nashville Shakes, the Children's Theater, and Studio 10, the main equity houses in Nashville. So give us kind of a nice lowdown of all these pictures that we're about to see.
Well, the first show of the first season for Studio 10, headed by Matt Logan and Jake Speck, whom we love, was Hello, Dolly. And this was a role that I was never interested in playing. And I thought, I'd seen Carol Channing do it at TPAC. And I, of course, had seen Barbra Streisand do the movie. And these are iconic. This Dolly Levi is an iconic role. And, when you see famous people like Carol Channing and Barbra Streisand do it, you think, okay, how do I do that? Where is there room for anybody else to? And so I was so immersed in their personalities of their portrayal that I didn't think it was something I could ever do. But then I read the script, and it was Dolly's monologues to her deceased husband that convinced me I wanted to play this role, made me fall in love with her. I'm going to read a tiny little excerpt. Why I knew I wanted to do this role. All throughout the musical, Dolly talks to her husband. She speaks to him. She runs things by him, and she's scrambling. She's working as hard as she can as a matchmaker, working as hard as she can to support herself. This monologue is what, when I read it in the script, I thought, I have to do this. I have to try to do Dolly. Yeah. This is her speaking to her husband. Ephraim, let me go. It's been long enough, Ephraim. Every evening for all these years, I've put out the cat. I've locked the door. I've made myself a little rum toddy. And before I went to bed, I said a prayer, thanking God that I was independent, that no one else's life was mixed up with mine. Then one night, an oak leaf fell out of my Bible. I placed it there when you asked me to marry you. A perfectly good oak leaf, Ephraim, but without color and without life. And I suddenly realized that I was like that oak leaf. For years, I had not shed one tear, nor had I been filled with the wonderful hope that something or other would turn out well.
Hmm.
And so I've decided to rejoin the human race. And Ephraim, I want you to give me away. And then she sings before the parade passes by.
Yeah.
And I'm in.
You're in.
Yeah.
You're in.
That's begun my wonderful relationship with Studio 10 and
Right.
Matt and Jake Speck. And we can fly through some of these pictures here of some
Yeah.
of the,
Let's see some of these iconic shots of you. Oh man. That's one of my favorite glass menageries. I have to say, and thank you, Linda.
Oh, Linda Summy.
Yeah, Linda Summy, just commenting on your dolly, which
Thank you, Linda.
just thank you, Linda. That's sweet of you.
Yeah, Amanda is a role that Tennessee Williams. If you get to play anything Tennessee Williams,
no kidding.
The words. I like to say that speaking the words of Tennessee Williams is like eating a bite of filet mignon.
Yes. Yep.
It's magic to get to speak his dialogue. Mm-hmm. But that's Ellie Sykes. That's a promo shot. For the first time we did it, I got to do it twice. This next shot is a shot of Amanda on the phone selling magazine subscriptions,
You're just a martyr, a Christian martyr.
And then there's the one of the candelabra. This was the second time we did it. Matt put me in a gray wig for that one. That's the Jonquil monologue there. Right. And the next one is me on the sofa when she's, I think it's the next shot, Matt, is the one where gentleman caller has left and is not coming back. But what a gift, what a privilege to do that role. And then my brother, you and me in Christmas Carol as young pups, and then getting to do it later with Studio 10 with you
as
again.
Old pups.
Matt, go to the next one. And Kim Breton and I are the charity ladies, horrified at what a Scrooge you are.
Yes.
Stingy. Oh, what a blast it was. And then the next one is me getting to play a grave robber in Christmas Carol. And then with Matt Carlton as Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig.
Oh, the best.
Of Matt Logan's designs are just genius.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what else. Oh, and then I got to do the Mother Abbess. What a joy and privilege that role is.
That's what you made all your siblings do, from kneel and kiss your ring.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Chip, you and me. And wife. That is for 90 seconds. Be real creepy and play husband and wife.
Yeah.
There we are as the parents of Brent Maddox and Matt Rose, and there's Matt Carlton as Charlie, the guy getting his wings.
No, Clarence, the angel.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Weezer, Steel Magnolias. And then Golda, I got to do Fiddler on the Roof. What a joy.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Witch.
Oh, yeah.
Into the Woods. And Mrs. Beaver in The Lion, the Witch, and the Ward. Another example of Matt Logan's design. I loved playing Mrs. Beaver. And then Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast. What a joy. And then Gypsy.
Boy.
That
and Amanda Wingfield, you just so nailed it, Nancy. You so nailed them.
Thank you, brother. Well, I tell you what, it was learning what I learned in Opal Whiteley taught me how to be the engine that drives the machine. Some roles are like that. Some roles you just have to. When you're on stage, you never stop talking. Amanda Wingfield never stop talking. Gypsy does. It's like, that's a chop you learn. You just so much preparation and work, but what a joy to get to play her and wear those clothes.
Oh,
me, as I'm reeling him in as my husband.
How many times have you been married to Matt Carlton?
Matt and I have played husband and wife over and over and over, and we have a shorthand.
Yeah.
We're on stage together. We just suddenly fall into a rhythm with each other that's a delight and a joy. And then more, there's Mama Rose calling out to a producer to put the light on her daughter. And then one final promo shot as Mama Rose. Thank you, Matt and Jake, for letting me do this.
Absolutely.
Again.
Absolutely. Well, Jake, I want to talk about one more play before we move to your new world, the New World Order for Nanty, which is painting. And this is, I unfortunately did not get to see this. Kay, my wife, and our youngest daughter, Lauren, flew down to Houston to get to see this, but I was
you were in Urinetown.
I was in Urinetown and Bright Star, so it just didn't. It's just the life didn't work. So, but you got a call from our good friend Jake Speck and said, "Would you try audition for Corey ten Boom?" And no brainer to me. You got the part. So you went down and you spent 9 weeks in Houston, which is, kind of like going to the camps, but it's, you got to play Corey ten Boom in an adaptation of The Hiding Place, which, by the way, was done by Pete Peterson.
A.S. Peterson. This was a world premiere.
Yeah.
Adaptation of The Hiding Place. That is Celeste Roberts there playing Betsy, my sister. I remember when Wayne came home from work and Jake had just called me and said, "Nam, we want you to do this." And I told Wayne what I was offered. Wayne said, he did not say, "What? Gone for 9 weeks?" The first thing out of his mouth was, "You were born to do this."
Yeah.
I had his full encouragement and support, which meant everything to me. And of course, here's Corey being interrogated by a Nazi when she was first arrested. To get to play this woman, this true life woman who sacrificed her life along with her family to hide Jews in their home during World War II was the hugest honor of my life, to play this woman. The courage she exhibited, and her father and her sister, both of whom died at the hands of the Nazis. It is an astonishing thing to behold. And that scene was very shortly before Betsy died there in the camp. And Corey went on. Corey was released due to a fluke.
Yeah.
In their in the Nazi system. She was in Ravensbrück. And when she got out, she devoted her life to traveling around the world, telling people, speaking. She spent she went to 60 different countries, traveled the world. She was incarcerated in the concentration camp at age 53, spent 11 months in prison. When she was released, she traveled to 60 countries, telling people how the Lord enabled her to forgive and how miraculous this was, because it was not in her to do it. She did not want to. And she tells this amazing moment of how that she meets in a church a Nazi guard who was instrumental in the death of Betsy. He comes up to her and asks her forgiveness and sticks out his hand to shake her hand. And she had this moment of, "I detest you. I abhor you. I will never forgive you," went through her. Of course it would. And then she felt she forced herself to stick out her hand and shake his, and literally felt the power of the Lord go through her arm into her hand and enabled her to truly mean it when she said, "I forgive you." So, there are tons of books that she has written, books about her. You can, if you want to, learn more about her, but oh my goodness, what a story and what a privilege. And being down there in that theater where Jake is the managing.
It's a gorgeous theater.
It's the best venue I've ever performed.
Gorgeous theater. So
it was a delight.
You have painted. You have painted the theater world with such rich, colorful characters that it is only natural that you become a fine artist yourself, a visual artist yourself.
Nice segue, big
Isn't
buck.
that, and actually it just came to me,
In the moment.
in the moment. But
Okay.
I'm going to start before Matt, you show the real pictures that of Nanti's latest work. Here is some of the what I call the early girlies. Uh, Here are some of the early girlies that
Which will be sold at auction one
which
day.
will be sold at auction. No, our daughters are fighting over them. Here's a beautiful one of my favorite pear in a martini glass.
Yes.
And so, how many martinis did you have to paint that one? And here's another still life that we love. And we've got probably 5 or 6 more of those early girlies, but we just love them. They're all around the house. My favorite of all, though, I can't put up because it's too big. But if you go to your Facebook page, it's the banner.
Not
of your
yet, Matt.
Facebook
Not those
page.
yet. Put that back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on your Nan Gurley Facebook page. It's the
Right.
banner of the 3 women dancers. So that's the one I love the most. But at any rate, Nanti, tell me how you made this transition.
Okay.
What caused that so that you can
Well,
get into painting?
back in 2007, another adult continuing education experience for me. I saw an ad for a beginning drawing class at the Williamson County Rec Center. And I've always wanted to learn to draw, always wanted to learn to paint, but thought that it was entirely a skill you were born with.
Mm-hmm.
I had no experience. The only experience of drawing I had were making, homemade birthday cards as a child. So I see this beginning drawing class and I called the teacher. I was nervous about taking it because I thought, yeah, a bunch of really skilled people are going to be sneaking in there and I'll be the only one who cannot draw a straight line. So I called the teacher and her name is Melanie Jackson. And I said, now this class you're going to teach, this is a class for people with no talent, right? And she said, coward, that I was. And she said, no, this is a class for people who want to learn how to see and who are willing to work hard. So I said, sign me up. So, just those words alone encouraged me so much. And the first class, all I had to bring was a pencil, an eraser, and a big tablet of newspaper print paper. So low in financial investment, low risk. Mm-hmm. So the first class, she said, we're going to trick the left brain. The left brain is the critic. The left brain looks at something and goes, well, that's a hand. You can't draw a hand. That's too hard. Or that's a hat, or that's whatever. She said, we're going to trick the critic. I want you to, she had brought in a picture of a line drawing, a contour drawing of a Mandarin man. She said, take this, turn it upside down. Now I want you to draw it upside down. Do not flip it around. We're going to silence the left brain. We're going to so now when you look at this line drawing, you go, oh, that's just a line that curves to the right. Or that's just a line that's straight. Or that's a line that curves left. So, Matt just put up the
yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
That is in my possession. No one can have it.
That's 3 dancers. You can't see it.
Dancers,
in it, but that's 3. There you go.
There we go.
That's
all mine. All mine.
Thank you, Matt. Way to go.
Thank you, Matt.
So, okay. 2 hours went by, like 5 minutes, and I did it. I drew it, looking at it upside down, and I was hooked. And I will forever be grateful to her for this. She was teaching from the book Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards, which I recommend to anybody watching who wants to begin to learn to draw. So she was my start. So COVID hits. And so I've been treating painting and drawing as a hobby since about 2008. COVID hits. Everything, all of my theater world shuts down. So I go, okay, this is a golden opportunity. I can either sit here and be so frustrated by the forced inactivity, or I can really bear down and be serious about painting. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm studying with a master. Her name is Dawn Whitelaw.
Oh, yeah.
And a family friend of ours forever, precious woman, but a master artist. She's internationally renowned as a landscape and portrait artist. And I have been studying with her, taking her classes. She's mentoring me. My goal last summer was to join the Chestnut Group, which is a group of painters, local painters who are devoted to helping preserve the land by painting the land, selling the paintings, painting plein air, which is outside.
Right.
My goal was to have 4 paintings ready for the Radnor Lake Art Show that was going to be in November. I wanted to join the Chestnut Group and enter 4 paintings to help raise money to preserve Radnor Lake. So I worked with Dawn. She mentored me all summer on these paintings and helped me get them to a level that she approved and that I was proud of. And now you can show those, Matt, if you want to, the paintings that I entered in the art show for Radnor Lake to raise money. That's called Cove Sighting. You've walked much at Radnor. You've seen that heron in the cove there on that log. This is a fawn I came upon. I was walking a trail as quietly as I could, came upon this fawn, grabbed my phone and had it ready. When the fawn turned around and noticed me, I was able to snap her picture.
Mm.
So, and then there's on the South Cove Trail, there's a loop that some Boy Scouts built some steps and a railing on this loop as you go around the South Cove Trail, which when I hit that moment when I was walking one day and the light was shining, the sun was shining on a way on the path that I'd never seen before. And I snapped that picture real fast.
Snapped that. Yeah, I was just going to.
I know. It's like, what did we do before cell phones?
I know.
And then the South Cove Trail, that golden hour, the light that you see.
Oh, I love it.
Between 4 and 5 in the afternoon, which is magical. Wayne is back there trying to trap our cat. Thank you, honey. Okay.
Live television.
Yes. So these 4 paintings sold. All 4 of them sold, which has given me such a boost of encouragement to keep going. I have miles of canvas to go before I reach, the level that I want to. But I'm going to keep sweating the details. I'm going to keep working hard, studying with Dawn, taking classes, and I'm learning so much about great artists. I'm inspired. I've been studying a lot of the work of Nikolai Feshen right now. Yeah. He was a Russian impressionist, immigrated to the United States in right after World War I, immigrated here. His look him up, Google him. It's Nikolai with a C and then Feshen, Fechon.
Yeah, I've got him right here.
Just his portraits. The thing that intrigues me about his portraits, the way he paints people's faces, their faces are landscapes. And he doesn't, just paint bored socialites. He loved to paint Mexican people on the street, children, just your average person. So when you see his work, you go, oh, there's a story there. I wish I knew this person. And I'm drawn to that. My skill level is not there yet, but I'm drawn to painting people and painting things that look like there is a story. Something's going on here. This is not just another pretty picture of a landscape. This is, there's something to this so that the viewer looks at it and goes, I want to know more.
Right. What about, Nancy, it's like the light, capturing the light on the descending stairs that the Boy Scouts did, or the light in on the trees. How do you determine what color or colors, shading that you're going to do just for the light itself? And because you've got to think in terms, I'm assuming, think in terms of how that matches with the rest of the landscape and the other trees or steps or railing or descent and ascent of the hill or whatever path or whatever, all of that. How do you determine that?
Well, you have to learn to see, like my first teacher said, you have to learn to see warm and cool. You have to learn the color mixing skill. color families. You have to learn to mix color, to mix grays, to mix warm or cool shadows, depending on if the light is warm or cool. And this is a skill that is learned after much, much practice, testing, trial and error.
Right.
One thing Dawn said to me, I think she may have been referring to capturing skin tone or atmosphere. I don't remember what I was questioning her about and needing guidance on, but she said, Nan, you have to remember that in life, in nature, when you're actually out there, when you're actually looking at a human being's skin, you've got blood and sap and air. And these are impossible to imitate.
Right.
The masters get real close. The masters look like they have captured it. But she who is a master and has been painting for decades, when she says that there are limitations to what we can create with paint, that was comforting, but it was also a challenge. Keep striving, keep mixing color, keep looking at great art. I mean, it is all about training your eye to see.
Right.
And sometimes you get close and sometimes you don't.
I know. And I forget the name of the great Japanese film director. He said, I can't remember. I will butcher his name, but he said, turn your eyes from nothing. Look at everything. And don't turn your eyes away because of whatever reason you would do that. Look at the reality of the world that is right in front of you. And because if you do that, you're able to lock into the image, but then you can look into the image. You can look into for meaning, for depth, for mystery, for all the multiple dimensions of what, like you said, that the Feshen artist captured with the Hispanic people, that you knew there was a story there. Because if you see, you didn't just look at the texture of his strokes, you were looking into what that human being might be because of the compelling way he painted.
Right. It makes me think of another artist that I love studying that Dawn also turned me on to, is Sergey Bongart, another Russian impressionist. And, I read a big coffee table book on him recently and studied his work. And there's one story in this coffee table book that's so interesting. Sergey was known for saying, paint everything. And he was on a plein air painting outing with a friend in the Tetons. And this friend tells the story that this friend sets up his easel in front of this grand view of the Tetons. And he turns around to look, see where'd Sergey go? And he turns around. Sergey has his back to the Tetons and is painting this small, scrubby bush and a rock. It was something that the other artist totally overlooked.
Yeah.
And so, he Dawn, as well as other great painters say, you have to simplify to be eloquent in a painting.
Right.
To capture the essence of a person you're painting, you must simplify. I'm working right now on a portrait of our great granddaddy Bufford. And I took a drawing that I'd done. I'm doing it in graphite first, drawing. And it was amazing. I'd done fairly well with his face, but Dawn takes the pencil and she starts erasing. So the more she erased, the more it looked like Granddaddy Bufford.
Yeah.
That's what's so interesting. So,
well, I mean, that's just so wonderful that you never stop looking. You never stop. And everywhere you look up, down, 360 degrees, multiple dimensions, there's something there worthy of your attention and your curiosity. And and the fact that you take pleasure in that is revealing, should be revealing to all of us that you have that artist's heart. And,
I want to. I mean, Dawn says all the time that she she still has a sense of wonder
Mm-hmm.
and amazement at little things that are revealed to her day after day. And that's really inspiring to me.
Is it, here as we close this hour out, which has flown by, you have started in sharing the things that Dawn shared with you, and your maturing as a painter and what you've discovered about yourself. You're already sharing with us the wisdom that you've gained as an artist, as an actor, and then now a painter. As a human being, Nancy, what, in just some little pearls of your wisdom that you could share with us that have been meaningful to you, and then, or maybe recent discoveries that you never, don't want to forget, hold on to.
I've been thinking about this today, and I think that, well, I'll share a couple of quotes I love. Howard Close, the painter Howard Close, is famous for saying this: inspiration is for amateurs. Show up and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's like, my first art teacher who said, just learn how to see, work hard. She made it feel attainable to me. If I used some elbow grease, some sweat equity, if I was willing to work hard, I don't have to wait. I don't have to be born with all this skill. I can learn some of this and grow. That was hugely inspiring to me. Also, a quote from Dawn is, one time she was working with me, and I said, Dawn, does there ever come a time when things get easier and things just sort of flow? And she went, it's always hard. In a real counterintuitive way, it set me free, because if she, as a master, says, expect this to be hard, it's like, all right, then I'm not going to be surprised when I'm sitting there, in front of the easel going, what? I'm missing it. What is it? What is it? And I'm, continuing to strive to achieve it. It's funny. Just knowing that it's hard made me feel good. It just made me feel good.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit there and keep trying.
Hard work. Preparation.
Also, a big important factor in my sense of daily joy is a sense of progress.
Mm-hmm.
If I can sense, especially like when COVID was, horrible for shutting things down, and it's like, what can I say I did today? What can I say I need that sense of progress for daily joy. So diving into the painting really gave me something to work hard for and a goal to achieve, which kept me getting up every morning. It's the same thing with Whiteley. I'm walking around Radnor Lake for 4 months. Is anyone ever going to care? I'm going to get up and I've got to take the risk. So, and when you're sweating the details, when you are giving everything you have to the small moments of your day, you are laying the foundation. You're putting another brick in the road to your life journey and your opportunities to have things come to fruition for you. So I would say, do not despise the small things, the small moments of faithfulness. Right, counts forever. And if you invest in it, there's going to be a lovely reward.
Absolutely.
And I'd also like to say, as far as next steps go, I am very privileged to have, I think, 6 of my paintings in the Juice Bar, the I Love Juice Bar in Brentwood.
Yep.
Scott Marsilio, the manager there, offered a wall in the store to me, which is a great encouragement to me to know that when I finish something, I have a place to go and hang it. I can post on Facebook and say, I have a painting up, and go to the Juice Bar and check it out. And I hope this year to have a website devoted to my art, so that I'm working, I'm very excited about this. I'm curating a body of work to put up on a website, hopefully by the end of the year. So,
and the way we'll find out about that website would be, you would let us know through, say, the Facebook announcements that says, all right, I got a website now, go and visit and see see my latest creations.
I will alert the media on Facebook.
Alert the media, absolutely.
It's done.
Well, speaking of the media, our hour is up, and the media is about to shut down. But before it does, Nancy, you know, we do this. Been doing this for decades. So
Yeah.
a chance to do it again
Yeah.
and share one another's triumphs and tragedies
Yeah.
and joys and heartbreaks and all the things that we've been through together as brother and sisters, and it's just this is just joy.
It's golden.
It is golden. So
Thank you, my brother.
oh yeah, and thank you for last week too. But another thank you goes to Matt, our TD, who has put this run this past hour and made it go as smoothly as it did. Thank you, Matt, for doing that, and especially Kathleen O'Brien for putting, inviting crazy brother and sister to have this time together, and her hard work of putting this show together, not just for the two of us, but for the past several years with the Community Arts of Bellevue, and the board of the Community Arts of Bellevue. Thank you for allowing us to have this time together. And finally, and most importantly, our audience. Nan and I have learned to love our audiences over the years because you make up the most important component of storytelling. And it's a willing heart, a listening ear, and an open eyes to share what to enjoy and absorb what Nan and I and so many of the other actors and artists in Nashville have had the opportunity to do over the last several decades. So thank you, audience of Community Arts of Bellevue. And I'm going to say good night for both of us, Nancy. Loved doing this with you. Back to you, Matt. Love you, dear.
Love you too, brother.